As we celebrate our university's Fiscal Centennial, we have a lot to be excited about because the legacy of our university lives on. On today, I have a distinct honor and privilege to introduce a true Hornet and a proven dedicated public servant, Dr. Quinton T. Ross Jr. To briefly highlight Dr. Ross, he is a native of Mobile, Alabama, a three-time graduate of Alabama State University, a former Student Government Association president, and a 15-year veteran in the Alabama Senate. This God-fearing man is a devoted husband, loving father, and a community mentor. His selfless contributions to our university and community over the years prove him to be one who is invested in the future of our society. Dr. Ross's diligence, integrity, scholarly endeavors, youth empowerment, and community involvement have impacted so many lives. Dr. Ross possesses all of the qualities that the Marion 9 envisioned 150 years ago. Until this day, he is keeping our legacy alive and well. That being said, after 20 plus years since his time here as an undergrad, he has come back to his beloved alma mater to assume the prominent role as university president of our great institution. So please join me in welcoming our fellow Hornet and newly elected 15th University President, Dr. Quinton T. Ross Jr.
Thank you and good morning. Good morning. ASU pride. And if I sound a little nasal, it's because I am. Dr. Haywood and I have been back and forth to D.C. in the last week and a half, twice. But let me just say thank you to President Ivey and your administration because you are the key to the success of the students here at Alabama State University. And so I'm just proud that you are SGA president. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Protocol having been established, and I'm going to take my time because I got a lot of emotions running right now. I'm reminiscent of one of my favorite movies, which was The Wiz, and Diana Ross and the late Michael Jackson. And if you know about The Wizard of Oz or The Wiz, Dorothy would always click her heels and say that there's no place like home. So I'm clicking my heels today because there's no place like home. There's no place like home. To our presiding officer, Dr. Pettis, to Ms. ASU, and let me say something about Dr. Wilson. Because in times of distress and in times of need, you have to have someone to step forward, to steady the ship, to hold it in the road. And Dr. Wilson, you've done that. And I just want to thank you. Thank you. And as Dr. Haywood has already established, I would be remiss if I did not mention the devastating attack that took place yesterday in Las Vegas. Because, see, as we're in this place, in this space, we have to thank God that he is providing a covering over us. And so I just ask all of you to think about those individuals and the victims that suffered yesterday, but then also to think about our brothers and sisters in Puerto Rico and in the places that have been devastated by the storms. We have to keep them in our hearts and in our minds and do whatever we can to lift them up because they're going through something that none of us have ever experienced, and we have to keep them lifted in prayer and in deed. I want to say at this time that I want to thank God for this opportunity. And some have heard me say it before. But it is only the master architect that could design a moment such as this. For a young man that was born in Mobile, Alabama, and taken to Michigan and raised and brought back to go to Alabama State University. I'll never forget my parents dropping me off with a little trunk and leaving me. But it would only have been at that time and by God's design that I would serve as a freshman class senator for Card Hall. But then I would go on to become one of 8 black state senators in the state of Alabama. Only God's design could do that. It would only be by God's design that I stand here as the 15th president of Alabama State University, but the first time that I was president was as the SGA president on this campus. So God is an awesome God. And he truly has blessed me. And so I thank God for giving me the opportunity at this time and this moment in history and during our sesquicentennial to stand as the 15th president of Alabama State University. We spent some time in Washington last week as we celebrated the 150 years of 9 universities. I cannot express to you how proud I was to sit on Thursday night in a joint choir with students from all 9 colleges. And Dr. Sanchek, I have to tell you that you have to be proud of the students that were there representing us. We had 2 of our students to sing solos, but Ms. Zabril Rivers, is she, Ms. Rivers, please. Ms. Rivers. Mr. Rivers. Ms. Courtney Ellis. Matthew Chappelle. And Janae Bolden. When I tell you that their voices sung out in the Morgan State University auditorium, and there were ASU grads that were there, but you could feel it in your soul. Alabama State University, representing the world. And I just want to give these young people a round of applause again for their. Now, secondly, I'd like to thank Chairwoman Green and the entire Board of Trustees, the presidential search committees, the students, the community members, alumni, faculty, and staff for this unique opportunity to stand here as the 15th president of Alabama State University. But you know, finally, I would like to thank my family and friends who have supported me and believed in me as I embarked upon this new journey in my life. But more importantly, I'd like to give a special thanks to my mother and my father, Mrs. Shirley A. Ross and Quinton T. Ross Sr., because it had not been for them, 1968 grad, 1969 grad of Alabama State University, I wouldn't be here today. So I want to salute them and thank them for, even when I was in the womb, I knew that I was going to be a student at Alabama State University. So this year, as we celebrate ASU's 150th year of existence, it is natural to reflect on struggles and the sacrifice that our institution has endured, that it could remain for the students of today and those yet unborn. And the struggle was not easy. And when you look at 150 years, that is a long time. And in all of that time, no matter what the issue, no matter what the circumstance, Alabama State University stood and is still standing. And when we think about its history, 9 black slaves, known as the Marion 9, that stood strong with just $500 and changed all of our lives on July 18th, 1867, when these 9 gentlemen made up a board of trustees and formed a corporation called the Lincoln School of Marion. And so when you think about it, you think about Joe Pinch and Thomas Speed and Nicholas Dale and James Childs and Thomas Lee and John Freeman and Nathan Levert, Ivy Parrish, and Alexander H. Curtis, who happened to be a black state senator in the early 1800s in Alabama. Those 9 men had it in their minds to prepare a way for us to make sure that we would continue to make our mark known and impact this world like never before. And so we should be proud of our history. We should be proud of the Marion 9. And we should walk around, and every time we think about the opportunities that we have and things that we have achieved, we have to give them just due. Because when I think about all that I have and all that I've accomplished in my life, ASU has been at the forefront of all my successes. And when I talk about success, and when we talk about acknowledging the legacy of our rich history, we must today cultivate our collective efforts, and I'll repeat that, our collective efforts, and think about 150 years forward. 150 years forward. You see, because we must realize that a lot of blood, sweat, and tears were shed to afford us this opportunity to learn and grow and even lead for 150 years. Moving ASU forward for 150 more years may not involve blood, sweat, and tears, but it will definitely involve perseverance, collaboration, diligence, compliance, and even sometimes a little sweat. Together, we must ask ourselves the question, what is it that we will do going forward to sustain and preserve Old Mother Dear for another 150 years? For children born and yet unborn, who will aspire to become a part of our ASU family 150 years forward? And so we have to ask ourselves the question, what is it that we will do? We must now work to assess our overall academic enterprise and to ensure the viability of our institution. We must prepare our students, present, future, for the ever-changing global society. We must stand and expand ASU's footprint in the global academy throughout the 21st century and beyond. The time is now. The time is now. We must evaluate our values, our thinking, our customer service to levels that we've never seen before. We must establish a new normal of care and service, putting students first. We must mold the behavior we expect, and we must serve pleasantly and professionally at all times, without any exception. And I talk with my 8-year-old son, and I tell him that please and thank you, or how may I help you? These are universal words and expressions that let people know that Alabama State University is open for business and ready to serve every time we answer the phone here at Alabama State University. Thank you for calling ASU. How may I help you? Plus, every phone call that's made to Alabama State University should be answered, and every message left should be responded to with urgency. When we realize as employees of this university that we are here to serve our students and provide them an educational experience of a lifetime. Our student is our most precious resource, and they can help tell our story. So we have to channel ourselves to understand that without the students, this institution does not exist. And as we talk about existence, I read an article a few days ago. There were some 127 historical black colleges in this country. We're down to 107. And the article suggested that there should be only 50. So again, I ask you, if we had to make a decision, where would Alabama State be in that 50? Would we be there? So we have to channel our minds and our energies to doing what's going to make us go and propel us forward for another 150 years. We must create a culture of climate of shared ideas to chart a path forward for the next 150 years. We must share in the governance of our ASU. This starts with the reality that ASU boards of trustees and faculty and all share a commitment to providing students with a quality education that delivers results. We all want the same thing, don't we? Don't we? We all want the same thing. We all want ASU to be successful. We want our students to be successful. So if we can agree on that, then nothing, no one should be able to stand in our way. We want ASU students to learn and grow and thrive while they're here. We want our undergraduates to graduate in 4 years or 5 years or less. They have to graduate. And when they graduate, they have to go to work. And we have to work to ensure that. We want our graduate students to engage in world-class professional programs that offer the opportunity to contribute to research and scholarship. And we want everyone to maintain the fervent commitment to working together and always serving Alabama State University. We all are part of this university family. Every person here today, and those that are not, for once a Hornet, always a Hornet. And together we will forge a shared vision for the 150 years to come. 150 years forward, the time is now. Realizing that the students of yesterday is much different from the student of today and will be much different from the student of tomorrow. We must provide meaningful professional development opportunities for our faculty and staff to adjust, to prepare for the future. We must mentor in research, guide in scholarship, and groom instructional strategies. Because if we do not prepare to adapt to change, we will not exist in the next 150 years. 150 years forward, the time is now. We must walk collectively to ensure that the basic expectations of our students are met. A safe campus, proper campus housing, a clean campus, operating internet, decent food, 150 years forward, the time is now. We must work together to ensure that everyone, including our students, understand that recruiting and retaining students is everyone's business. We must increase our enrollment. Our enrollment is critical to the very existence of our institution. In Washington, D.C., sitting next to the president of Barber Scotia, and listening to him talk about them losing their accreditation and how difficult it is for the students to get funding and to maintain and retain students. I look to him as a place we won't be, because we're going to work together to maintain that we retain our students and that they graduate. 150 years forward, the time is now. In that same vein, every student that joins the ASU family must understand the awesome responsibility of being a Hornet. Students need to understand our rich and deliberate history. Our students need to understand that this is an institution of higher learning and ensure that they conduct themselves accordingly. You can clap. As administrators, faculty, alumni, board of trustees, and staff, we must change so that we can show and display the hope that is necessary to move this institution forward. We must mentor widely and sponsor specifically. We must have pride in our house. and keep it clean, both figuratively and literally. And I'm going to repeat that. And keep it clean, both figuratively and literally. And that's going to take all of us. We all must understand that fiscal accountability and sustainability and transparency is everyone's business. We have to find ways to improve our fiscal standing on all fronts, modeling giving from the top. We have to create external resources so that we don't have to be so dependent on our state appropriation. We have to do things different. We have to look at our corporate giving, planned giving by our alumni, an aggressive capital campaign, research grant opportunities, expanded online opportunities. Those are just a few of the ways. But most important, before I can leave these hallowed grounds and ask anyone to contribute to Alabama State University, I have to show what I've given myself. This institution has to show what it's given. And that's why today, standing as the 15th president of Alabama State University, I pledge $50,000 to this institution and challenge the Board of Trustees, administrators, and all to make a contribution to Alabama State University. It is our own giving that will make the difference. It is our own giving that will show people that we are serious about preserving Alabama State University for the next 150 years, 150 years forward. So we have to give ourselves, and we have to give continuously and generously. We must create an entrepreneurial spirit to increase external revenue to our institution. We must meet the demand of a commercial and e-commerce market. We must mobilize the talents through our institution and our university family to create and innovate. 150 years forward, the time is now. No, I don't have a magic wand, but what we do have are some of the best and the brightest minds in our university family, and as we come together, we can chart our course for another 150 years. There's a lot of work to be done, hard work, including the emerging accreditation reaffirmation that will take place in 18 months. In 18 months. And we must be reaffirmed. We will be reaffirmed. And there are a few reasons more important for us to exert our energies, share our skills, and to pour our passion into Alabama State University. And that is our students. It's for our students. And as long as we pour all that we have in our students, we will guarantee the sustainability and viability of Old Mother Dear for another 150 years. 150 years forward, the time is now. We have to be intentional about wrapping our hands around our 150-year history, holding it tight and telling our story. We must make ASU a destination campus for all to come and see. We must open up and engage all of our communities, city, county, state, and national stakeholders, international stakeholders, to join our journey in moving our beloved ASU forward for the next 150 years. Our journey will not be easy. No, it won't be. And we have some difficult days ahead. But with God on our side and all of our collective intelligence, ability, capital, and persistence, nothing is impossible. And ASU's future is bright for 150 years forward. The time is now. And today, at this time and place, I ask the media to join with us to assist us in moving our institution forward. Because as of today, our family will not allow the minimizing of our 150-year history to the reputation of a soundbite or a few negative words or negative stories. We are so much more than the messages that have been amplified, so much more, and I challenge all of the media outlets to join with us. We welcome you to our ASU family. Help as we move 150 years forward by sharing the positive events that are and will continue to occur at ASU. You too can create a new normal. You are now a part of the ASU family, and you too have a responsibility to report balanced, not just one-sided. If you report on one institution, make sure you get the institutions down the street. If you report on our institutions, make sure you go next door to AUM. Just make sure that it's fair and it's balanced. 150 years forward. The time is now. The time is now. And we will tell our own story. We will tell the world about Alabama State University, our story. No longer will we allow our beloved university to be used as a political pawn in someone's own personal agenda. We take ownership of our university and ourselves. No one person is bigger than Alabama State University. We are a university family. We are united, and we are ASU. 150 years forward, the time is now. There is much work to be done. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless Alabama State University.